Kit Kats can read. Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome to another video, and in today's video I am actually going to be doing a try a chapter sort of video because I'm feeling very slumpish and I had to purge of the bookshelf behind me, the crate next to me and my TBR cart of the books that are kind of like jumping out at me. I read the synopsis, so I've got some currently reading books here and I'm just sort of thinking maybe if I read a chapter of these, which one draws me the most that I actually continue on with, that I really want to carry on with, will be the next book that I read. I'm finding I'm struggling with fantasy books at the moment. Unfortunately, they're just not making me want to pick them up. I am enjoying them when I do read them, but I don't seem to read a lot of them, so I'm finding that I am struggling with that genre at the moment. So with that being said, the majority of these books are contemporaries, chick lits, and I've got some paranormal, and I've actually got I think one fantasy here. The rest are pretty much, the majority is contemporary. I've got a couple of paranormals and some romances, chick lits. I've got like one fantasy, and that's just because I'm thinking, well, maybe if I read a chapter of it, because it's a book that I'm currently reading, it might spur me on. But unfortunately, the main currently reading books, which are Dark Shadow Magic and the first Witcher book, they're not drawing me in enough to like read the book. I like read a chapter and then I want to do something else. I want to get a book where I actually devour it, like I did with Emmy and Oliver. I want to get that again. Like I honestly miss doing that, and I want to find a book tonight that I can just devour. So I've got a lot of books to get through. I can tell you stat wise that currently reading books, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. Technically 7 because one is on my TBR. And then out of my actual TBR, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 review books and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then technically 5 because of that currently reading one. And then out of my bookshelf and the crate next to me, I have selected 3 rereads, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books I haven't started before. So like I say, I've got a lot of books. So in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 books I've got here in total. So it's 28 chapters. No pressure. Maybe like as I go throughout them, I'll just be like, you know what, I'm not feeling this one anymore. I'm just gonna make my way through it. So I don't know whether I'm going to start with the rereads or whether I leave the rereads last, because I've read them before and I've loved them. So I might leave those to last, if honest, the rereads, because I know that I'm going to enjoy them. That's why I've put them on this list, because I know that they will help me out of this slump situation. I don't know whether to start with the books I'm currently in the middle of. Perhaps I can start with those, and that way I won't have to start like a new book. But yeah, I'm literally just going to be reading a chapter from each and every one of these, and then I will get back to you on it and let you know the one that I have chosen. But yeah, I think I need to split these into piles of like currently reading, main TBR. Hopefully I will find something off of my main TBR, but yeah, I just want to find a book. And there's a lot of these where I was reading the synopsis and I was like, that sounds really cool, I want to read it, like sort of thing. But I'm thinking if I try this chapter, I can see the ones of the chapters that have drawn me in the most, and if I'm hooked from the beginning, it's going to be a good book. So I'm going to update you per book of which one I like, and yeah, so on and so forth. So yay, let's get started. Okay, first of all, I'm starting with Yes My Baby So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. I actually had this review a couple of months ago, but I still haven't got around to reading it. I've just been waiting for the right moment to get into it because it's not quite jumping out at me as of yet. So I'm going to give the first chapter a go and see how I feel about it, and maybe I'll get the feel of this book. let's go. Okay, so I've read the first chapter of Yes, No, Maybe So. I'm not sure about this one as yet. I mean, we've just met the first character, Jamie, the male character, and he seems pretty clumsy, and it's definitely very diverse, this book. But like I say, not a lot has happened so far, but I'm not really feeling this sort of like politics thing, so I think that's just why I'm not really intrigued with this one as of yet. So it's going to go into the maybe pile. We shall see with all the other books. Okay, so book number 2 is Angelful by Susan E. The first chapter only has about 4 pages, so this really shouldn't take long. So this book has got 4 pages to impress me. Okay, so I just finished chapter 1 of Angelful by Susan E. And it's very intriguing. It's got actually quite an apocalyptic feel to it. Like, there's some sort of thing that's happened in the world which is making people not go out, and it's making it deserted, and they're just like traveling out, and yeah, it's got me intrigued actually. So it's going to go into the maybe pile, but top of the maybe pile, because it's definitely intrigued me. I'm just sort of, I do kind of want to know what's going to happen next. My next chapter read is For Anything to Have You by Paige Harbison, and I have owned this book for a very long time, so I have no idea what I'm going to think about it. I know it's a contemporary, but the first chapter doesn't have too many pages actually. There's literally, that's the first chapter, so I should hopefully fly through this chapter 1. Okay, so I've just finished the first chapter of Anything to Have You by Paige Harbison, and it seems very strongly friendship aimed, about Natalie and Brooke. They are literally like really good best friends, and yeah, it's just like a introductory chapter where we meet Natalie and Brooke, both 2 different people. Like, one's very outgoing, one's quite an introvert. Obviously I'm team introvert with this, so I'm really liking this. So yeah, so this is going to go into the maybe pile. I found the writing style to be quite easy for me to get into, and yeah, no complications or anything with it. It's a little bit later on, and I am going to read the first chapter of Time Between Us by Tamara Iron Stone. The first chapter in this is only 2.5 pages, but I'm still going to stick with those pages because realistically, a reader should be hooked within the first page. Some people say within the first paragraph, so I think it's plenty really, and if I'm hooked in those 2.5, then all is really good. So I've just read the first chapter of Time Between Us by Tamara Iron Stone, and I must say, definitely intrigued. It's a bit like Angelful. There's some sort of like mystery there, like I really want to know what's going on, and yeah, just between these 2 characters, and I'm just like, yeah, definitely intrigued. I know it's a time travel novel as well, so that also intrigues me too. Yeah, and I have read a book by Tamara Iron Stone before, and I really enjoyed it, so I have high hopes for this one, so I'm going to put it on my yes maybe pile. Next of all, I have got Una, and this is by Margarita Montimore. This is actually a review book that I've got, and first of all we've got a prologue, and this prologue is probably, yeah, it's because the pages are quite big, it's 1 page long, so I'm just going to read the prologue of this. If it's an interesting prologue, then we'll see. Okay, so I just read the opening prologue of Una, and although it's only a page long, it definitely has me intrigued. It's a little bit strange, but I think that's just because I have no idea what's going on, and it has that definite sort of mystery to it, but I think I'm just going to put this in the maybe pile. for now. Although it does seem intriguing, it's not quite grasping me fully. So my next book choice is another review book, which is Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy. And this is the author of Burning Glass. I've heard really good things about this book already. And the first chapter is actually kind of like a prologue. It's called 8 Years Ago, 2.5 pages. So I'm intrigued to see what happened 8 years ago. Okay, so I just read the prologue of Bone Crier's Moon, and it tells us literally like what it says on the back of the book, that Bastian's father was slain by a bone crier when Bastian was a little boy. So it kind of introduces us to this story. Gathering from the synopsis of this book, this is going to be kind of like a hate to love sort of book, because we have got a girl that's been prepared from birth to be a part of like to do with the bone criers, and yet Bastian would like to avenge his father's death of the bone criers. And apparently this boy is someone that she is destined to love. So it literally sounds probably kind of in a way very similar to Serpent and Dove, with, you know, they're meant to be together, but yet they're on the opposite team sort of thing. So I am intrigued because of that, because I love a good hate to love like romance. Now this is, I believe, a fantasy, so I'm trying to stay clear of fantasies, but I also wanted to give it a try. I am still intrigued by this book though, after reading that prologue, so I'm going to put it in the maybe pile anyway, so at least it's in the maybe pile. It's not a no, it's not a definite no, it's in a maybe pile, because I am still really intrigued about this storyline. So maybe when I'm in the mood for a fantasy, this will be something that I will pick up. But yeah, it's going in the maybe pile. I am starting to get defeated with sleep, so this might end up being my last one for tonight. But I'm going to read the first chapter of The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott, which was another review book that I've got this year. The first chapter of this is only about 7 pages long, so I'm going to try and read this chapter without falling asleep, because sleep is nearly taking me. So I managed to read the first chapter of The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott tonight. I was actually reading about the author in the back. They used to work with children with special needs, and that they based one of the main characters on one of those special needs children that they knew. And so it mentions on the back here about a character called Agatha and the condition she was born with. So it would explain the writing style, because this girl called Agatha says that she's 15 in this book, and yet she's telling a story as if she's a really, really young child, or about probably 4 or 5, so obviously mentally very young. So I'm intrigued by it, because I've worked with adults with special needs, and it is similar in a sense, so I'm intrigued for it, but I'm not quite feeling it, because 1, it's a fantasy, and 2, kind of is in a way like, I suppose, more of a young adult, because they're 15. So I'm going to end up putting this, unfortunately, in the no pile. I'm not feeling it now. I am intrigued to see what happens next, but not just yet. It's now Sunday morning, and I am going to start with Mermaid Moon by Suzanne Cockle. The first chapter isn't very long in this book, so I'm going to see where this takes me. So I've just finished chapter 1 of Mermaid Moon, and there's definitely some sort of like mystery there. That I read the prologue of like the mother sort of like giving birth to the daughter with the sea folk, and then I read like the first chapter, which was only like literally like a page and a half, and that is basically the main character Sana sort of pretty much just saying like, I'm going to tell you my story. So yeah, there is a mystery element to that, but I'm not feeling this book at the moment, so this is going to go into the no pile, unfortunately. Now I'm going to move on to my next pile, which are books that I chose from the bookshelf / the crate next to my bookshelf, of ones that really were jumping out to me. Some of them I read like the synopsis of, and I was just like really intrigued to read them. Others were just like recommendations sort of thing. So yeah, and the first one I'm going to start with is Amy Matthew by Cami McGovern. I've owned this for a few years now, so yeah, it would be good to get this read if this is the one. But I know this has got really good anxiety wrap, I believe. Okay, so I just finished chapter 1 of Amy and Matthew, and I'm not really feeling it with this one, to be honest. Like, nothing was gelling with me. It was emails between Amy and Matthew about something, and yeah, nothing was gelling with me like, yes, I want to read this. So unfortunately this is going to go into the no pile, which I'm actually surprised. I thought this would be something going into like a yes pile, or even a maybe pile, or a yes maybe pile. So yeah, but yeah, nothing was grabbing me about this, unfortunately, so it is going to go into the no pile for now. Hello, so it's a little bit later on in the morning on a Sunday, so I am carrying on with my reading, and I'm going to be reading the first chapter of Losing It by Cora Carmack, which is a new adult novel. And so I'm going to read the first chapter of this, and then I'm going to go out food shopping. Wish me luck. Yeah, so I'll let you know what I think about the first chapter of this one before I go food shopping. Okay, so I've just finished the first chapter of Losing It, and definitely really interesting, because it's an adult and it's cheesy romance. I mean, it's a cheesy first chapter, but sometimes all you want in your life to make you feel better is a bit of cheese. So I'm going to put this on the yes maybe list. My next book choice is By Your Side by Casey West, so a Casey West book. This one I've got really high expectations for. It's set in a library, two people stuck in a library together, so I'm really intrigued about this, but I still would like to read a chapter of it, and if it really hooks me, this could potentially be the one. Okay, so I've read the first chapter of By Your Side by Casey West, where she is literally stuck in this library, and she has tried all sorts of ways of trying to get out. She's tried like even the computers, tried looking for a phone, so it definitely sounds intriguing. I'm going to put this on the maybe yes pile. And next book choice is Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. I've heard really good things about this book, and it's literally about two best friends who turned worst enemies, and they go on a camping trip together. They find themselves stranded, so that sounds really intriguing to me, and I feel like it's going to be a lot of tension. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first chapter, see how I get on. Okay, so I've read the first chapter of Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, and actually I'm really sort of like intrigued by this. Like, I'm really sort of into it, so I'm feeling like this is a potentially yes. My next book choice is going to be The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This is actually an adult romance, and it's received a lot of buzz, especially last year, because it's got like autism rep in the woman. I got this last year and I still haven't got around to reading it, so it would be good to actually read the first chapter of this and just to see what I think. Hopefully I gel with the writing style and with the story. Could this be my potential yes as well? let's have a look and see. Okay, so I read the first chapter of The Kiss Quotient, and pretty much introduces us to the main character Stella, that her parents wanted to have grandchildren, and so she's feeling the pressure of it. It's announced that she does have Asperger's, and about her finding a guy who will understand that. And then she's teased at work for her sexual issues, the fact that she hasn't slept with a lot of people, and so she makes a decision, I'm gonna hire an escort, which is pretty much what is said like on the back of the book. So we are introduced to that within the first chapter. I'm definitely intrigued. This is going to go into the pile of yes maybes. My next book choice is going to be Dramas of a Teenage Heiress by Katie Birchall. This is the sequel to Secrets of a Teenage Heiress, which I read either last year or the year before. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I've got very, very high expectations for this. So I shall read the first chapter, and I'm thinking it is going to draw me in. So we shall see how this one goes. So my high expectations were correct with Dramas of a Teenage Heiress, because I ended up reading the prologue and the first chapter, because the prologue was only like 1 page, and yeah, it's definitely got that funny, hilarious vibe to it still, and I feel like this would be a really, really good book to read because of that. I need a really good feel-good sort of book, especially in recent times, so I'm going to put this in the pile of potentially yeses. My next read is going to be For Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I've heard really good things about this, but I've actually had some mixed like reviews on it too, but most of the people that I do trust have said that it is really good though. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading the first chapter. Okay, so I've read the first chapter of Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, and I think this is going to go into the pile of maybe. Okay, so I'm now moving on to another Casey West book. This one is Lucky in Love. I've heard really, really good things about this one. Okay, so I read the first chapter of Lucky in Love. Unfortunately, I'm not really feeling this one. Not a lot's happened in the first chapter to like grab me or anything, so I'm going to put this in the no pile for now. My next potential book is P.S. I Like You by Casey West. I've owned this for so long, I'm surprised I haven't read it yet. Again, I've also heard really good things about this one, and I've got high expectations for this one. So I just read the first chapter of P.S. I Like You by Casey West, and I liked it. I actually quite liked it. So I'm going to put this into the potentially yes pile. My next Casey West potential is going to be Love, Life and the List. And yeah, I've owned this for quite a while as well, and I feel silly that I haven't got around to reading this. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to think about this one. Okay, so I just read the first chapter of Love, Life and the List by Casey West, and actually I am totally feeling this book, like this best friends sort of romance slash friendship thing going on. I'm totally all for. She's in love with her best friend, but he kind of like turned her down like a year ago when she had announced it, and she still has feelings for him, and yeah, it's totally cute and adorable, and I'm really, really feeling it. So this is going to go into the potentially yes pile. Another Casey West book now, Fame, Fate and the First Kiss by Casey West. You can see I've got quite a few Casey West books that I have built up and I haven't got around to reading. I do eventually read them. They are literary books of fluff, so that's why I have just got such excitement for these books. But yeah, so reading the first chapter of each and every one, seeing which one of them I'm drawn to the most, and yeah, I've already found a couple of potential really good ones, so no idea what I'm going to think about this one. So I've just read the first chapter of Fame, Fate and the First Kiss by Casey West, and I think I've met a couple of characters from one of the other Casey West books that I've just read, so in a way sort of spoiled myself. But to be honest, with romance books, whenever like two characters are mentioned in the book, like you kind of like, yeah, they're gonna get together, like it's just the process of how. So I was just like, okay, that's really cool how they've got some characters that are in it, because obviously like the other book was Love, Life and the List, and this is Fame, Fate and the First Kiss. So yeah, it's within that sort of series where different characters sort of thing. But I'm actually really feeling this. I have always wanted to go professionally into acting, but it's a very difficult thing to get into, hence why I do like shows, I do like musicals, I do summer shows and all that. I've done plays in the past, so I like being on stage, so I've got quite a connection to this book, and I think that is why I'm going to put this on my potentially yes pile. The last book from this category of books to my bookshelf and the crate is Maybe This Time by Kasie West. So the last Kasie West book and this came out last year, so yeah, I have high expectations for it, of course. Okay, so I read the first chapter of Maybe This Time by Kasie West, and I actually really like it. So this is going to go onto the potentially yes pile. The next section is going to be the books I'm currently in the middle of reading. I'm just going to read a chapter from each of them and just sort of see if I'm feeling any of those, and then I will put those into piles as well. If there's any current readings that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really feeling this at the moment, then that might like be the next potential book that I choose anyway, because I've obviously already started it. So the first book that I'm going to start with, a lot of you will be really happy about this. It's Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is actually on my March TBR, but unfortunately I've put it down because I wasn't massively feeling it at the time. I was kind of slumping, if completely honest. So I'm going to read just a chapter, see how I feel about it. Unfortunately, I couldn't even make it through one chapter of Red, White and Royal Blue. I read just under 20 pages, though the chapters are quite long. The end of the next chapter is in about 15 pages. I've literally just got this much to read, and my mind is just sort of like, I don't want to waste time fighting through another 15 pages because I'm feeling really lost in this book, and I'm lost in the politics, and I'm just lost in things that are going like in America and then in England, and yeah, I'm really lost in those sort of things, and I'm just feeling really lost in this book. That's how far I am. I'm probably about halfway, but page 220, and I really don't know. I don't know whether I need to try and listen to the audiobook, maybe, don't really know, but I'm just really not feeling this at the moment. This is going to be something that I will have to put down. I don't like not finishing chapters though. This makes me feel really awkward, so I'm going to put it in the no pile. The next currently reading book that I'm going to be reading a chapter from is My Type on Paper by Chloe Sager. I put this down a couple of weeks ago, but I was enjoying it when I was reading it, so I'm going to read a chapter and see how I feel about it, and then I'm going to obviously rank it. Okay, so I've just read a chapter of My Type on Paper by Chloe Sager. I'm now currently on chapter 6, page 76, and I'm actually enjoying this book. It's full of just so many funny moments and cringy moments and just like what the hell moments, and I'm really intrigued what's going to happen next. We've got like 3 perfect on paper guys that have suddenly come out of nowhere, like what the hell, and yet poor Maya is just like, oh, and she's just got, well, pretty much getting over a breakup from her boyfriend, who's kind of like dumped her and gone off with like another girl on their holiday that they were meant to go on. So now she's just like, you know what, I'm gonna go out with each of these 3 perfect on paper guys. So it just seems like it's gonna be really fun, so I'm gonna put this in the potentially yes pile. So my next currently reading book is going to be Dangerous Alliance by Janiki Cohen, and this came out December last year, and I'm only on chapter 2, but I remember everything that happened in chapter 1. I know the next chapter is about just under 20 pages, so quite a long chapter. So I'm going to see how I feel with this one. So I've read a chapter of Dangerous Alliance by Janiki Cohen, and I'm on chapter 3, and actually, considering it was just under 20 pages, I flew through that chapter, and I'm really interested in the storyline actually, and it's very historical fiction, which is why I kind of like, I'm liking it, because I've kind of grown to like historical fiction, and it's a historical fiction romance that's kind of like Jane Austen sort of thing. So it seems like really quirky and really cool, just very old and timey, very simple, which is why I'm really liking it, especially in the times like we are in these days with this virus going around. So I'm going to actually put this in a maybe yes pile. My next currently reading is going to be For the Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I was looking at it and chapter 6 is the closest that I can recall of this. So this far through, obviously a darker contemporary, but I'm going to see how I go with this, if I'm finding that I'm really enjoying it. So I just read chapter 6 of The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and it was a really good chapter, so I'm actually really liking it. So I'm going to put this on my potentially yes pile for my currently reading books. Okay, so this next was a book that I started on my holiday in Benidorm, so it's been a good month since then. And yeah, luckily I still remember everything that went on because I only was like one chapter in. So this is If We're Not Married by 30 by Annabelle. Okay, so I just read another chapter of If We're Not Married by 30 by Annabelle. So I'm on chapter 3 now. It's quite a long chapter, to be honest. And yeah, I'm feeling like this is going to be a maybe choice. This next currently reading book might seem like a strange one because it is a fantasy, but it's the fantasy that I'm currently reading, and the last time I was kind of slumpish when I read the first book. I actually got out of the slump with the first book. So I'm going to try and see how I go with the sequel, Torch Against the Night by Sabata Here. So I'm like this far through. So I'm just going to read a chapter. Hopefully I can remember everything that goes on. Okay, so I've read a chapter of A Torch Against the Night by Sabata Here. I'm now on page 183, chapter 22. And actually I was quite intrigued with this chapter. What I like about this series so far is there's always something going on. There's always some action, there's always some sort of betrayal or something to just keep me going. So I'm actually going to put this on a maybe yes, not definite yes, like potentially yes, but I'm going to put it on a maybe yes because I actually quite enjoy it, but I don't know if I'm in the mood for fantasy, but I'm enjoying what was going on in that chapter. So yeah, in the maybe yes section. Okay, so this is the last of my currently reading books I have chosen of potential ones that could jump out at me for me to read, and this is actually City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare, book number 5 in the Mortal Instruments series. This would be a reread for me. I did start this a couple of months ago, so I'm going to read a chapter of this. The chapter seems to be quite long. I need to look back at something in this book that I can remember, pretty much like with A Torch Against the Night, and then I'll read a chapter of it and then evaluate if I'm finding I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so I had to go back a few chapters in City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I actually couldn't remember a lot of what happened, so I skimmed through chapter 1 and then I read chapter 2, and to be honest, chapter 2 I was just like, you know what, I don't remember it. Can't believe that. It's been a few months since I read this book and I just can't remember it. So yeah, so I read it and I got back into it again. So I'm going to add this to the potentially yes pile. So I've got 3 books left to read a chapter from. Thank goodness. My brain, I've read so many chapters, I probably realistically could have finished a book in all of that time. But I've got 3 rereads left that I feel like would be definite go-tos. One of them I know for sure is one that I would definitely go to when in a slump, because it's always got me out of reading slumps. And the same with another series actually. And the third one, I've never actually reread it before. So the first one that I'm going to read a chapter from, it's a very old series, but it's a beloved favourite series of mine. I haven't completed them yet. I've only ever got up to the 9th book in the series. So I'm currently rereading these anyway, and I haven't read a book in this series in a while. I don't think I read one last year. I think I read one the year before. So this is the Making Out series by Catherine Applegate. The book that I'm currently on rereading wise is Nina Won't Tell. I remember this one being a very hard-hitting book, but also really sort of like powerful in friendship. So this I know revolves around Nina, who's a sister of Claire, And then Ben, who is blind, I believe he recently broke up with Claire, and Nina's got a crush on him, and he's blind. So this book, considering it's very old, quite diverse with having a blind character. They are about teenagers that live on an island, and they take a ferry to go to and from this island. They live near each other. There's a lot of drama that goes on, a lot of family stuff that goes on. So I'm going to read the first chapter of this, and I know I'm going to love it because it's helped me out of slumps, and it's so easygoing, and it really hooks you. So yeah, I know that I'm going to enjoy the first chapter of this, but I'm still going to read it anyway. Okay, so I read the first chapter of Nina Won't Tell, and it started off with little letters from each of the characters. So Zoe, Claire, Aisha and Nina, basically the main females, and read chapter 1 as well. And I remember this book so much, and it was very deeply emotional, and I'm really enjoying the first chapter. So yes, this will obviously definitely go into potentially yes pile, because oh man, just so good. Okay folks, luckily I've only got 2 books left, 2 rereads, and the next one I'm very excited about. This has helped me get out of a reading slump before. Not this book in particular, but the first and the second books definitely. So this is the next book in the Vampire Academy series. This will be a reread for me. So this is Blood Promise, and it's the 4th book that's in the series. Now, the writing style, especially in the past, has always gelled with me for the series. I love the main girl character. She is just so feisty, she's funny, she's punky, she's everything that I wish I could be. And yeah, I just love the storylines. It's been a while since I've read a book in this series. I can't remember the last time I read Shadowkiss. Must have been a couple of years ago. I don't think I read one last year, so probably the year before that. So yeah, so I'm gonna start this book, read chapter 1, and see if I can remember it and see how I feel about it. Okay, so I'm just getting started with dinner, and whilst I was letting it cool down, I read the prologue as well as the first chapter of this book, and I literally do not remember anything at all. So it was really handy. The prologue filled me in on everything that happened in Shadowkiss and the previous books, and I was literally up to date, so I'm very thankful for that prologue. And then I really enjoyed the first chapter. It was kind of like an investigation, and yeah, the first chapter ends on a little cliffhanger. I kind of want to know what's going to happen next, so I will put this in the pile of potentially yes, because yeah, I feel like this is a book that I could read. And of course, it's a Vampire Academy novel, and yeah, I need to continue on with this series at some point. So yeah, but yeah, really enjoyed the first opening chapter. Alright people, got one more book left, which is the last reread, and this is Chateau by Taylor Murphy. I have never reread this book before. The first time I read it, I fell in love with it though, but that was a few years ago, so my reading taste could have changed. But I would like to continue on with this because the series has expanded from the original 3 books. So I'm going to read a chapter, I'm going to see how I feel, and then I'll let you guys know. Okay, so lucky for me, the first chapter is very short and it definitely has me intrigued, so it is going to be on a potentially yes pile. I've now got to narrow down and decide on the book that I have chosen. So out of all of the potentially yeses, I'm going to quickly share those with you guys and narrow it down with you. Okay, so in total I have 12. Of got 2 that I'm currently reading, 4 that are going to be rereads, and then I've got 6 that will be brand new books that I haven't even started yet. So now I need to, and this is going to be the tough bit, narrow these down. And I'm not going to touch the rereads because they're going to be the hardest, so I'll have to leave those last. So currently reading wise, let's go through these 2. So I was very intrigued with The Hate U Give. I'm definitely really into that. My Type on Paper is pretty cute. So out of those 2, I'm going to get rid of My Type on Paper. And then I will leave The Hate U Give, it's currently reading. So now I'm going to look into the pile of books. I haven't started reading yet. So I've got Fame, Fate and the First Kiss by Kasie West, Love Life in the List by Kasie West, Maybe This Time by Kasie West, P.S. I Like You by Kasie West, Dramas of a Teenage Heiress by Katie Birchall, The Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. So now I need to go through these books, out of which ones I'm going to keep out of these. So Starry Eyes, there's definitely something there, but I think I'm going to take this one out. Dramas of a Teenage Heiress. This is tough because it was very hilarious, the first chapter, and has a definite vibe to it. So I'm going to put that down for now, and then I'll choose from it. P.S. I Like You. So this was the chemistry class writing. I really liked this one. I'm trying to think the one that I felt the most out of, and I probably would actually have to say her latest book or Love Life in the List be the 2 ones that I really would like to read. So let's get rid of these 2, and I've left myself with 2 Kasie West books, which I'll have to narrow down as well. So I've got 3 left, and I need to pick one of these. This is so hard. It's actually really hard. I want to read them all, but I'm just trying to mentally say to myself that whatever I don't read now, I can read like next. It's what I want to read first out of all of these. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of Dramas of a Teenage Heiress. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay, Maybe This Time or Love Life in the List. Am I feeling a romance between somebody who does parties and weddings and somebody who seems to be very annoying? So it's kind of like, I suppose this is kind of a love to hate, and this is a best friends romance. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I think I'm going to choose Love Life in the List, which is actually really surprising to me because originally I didn't put this book on the list, and now I am. Okay, now I'm going to have to narrow down my reread pile because I've got 4. So Nina Won't Tell, City of Lost Souls, Love Promise and Shatter Me. This is going to be really tough because I love all 4 of these books. I really do you know what? I'm getting rid of these 3. And Nina Won't Tell. So now comes the even trickier part. I've now got to narrow down currently reading of The Hate U Give, rereads of Nina Won't Tell, and Love Life in the List by Kasie West, which is a new book. Now, Nina Won't Tell I have read before, and I know that I will love it again. The Hate U Give, I just find really intriguing. It's a dark contemporary, but I don't know, I think because of recent events I want something happy and fluffy. So that's what I'm going to take The Hate U Give off. Now we're down to 2, and this is where it's going to be really tough. because dark events happen in this book, but I know that it has a really good happy ending. And I know that this is going to be a happy ending because it's a romance, and contemporary romances always seem to have happy endings with the main two characters. Oh my goodness. Do I want... Thing is, they both got romances in. So do I want... Oh my goodness, this is really tough. This is so tough. Love Life in the List. Best friends. From best friends to lovers. Or Nina Won't Tell, which is a reread. It's really easygoing. I've read before. It's really satisfying. Oh my goodness, this is... I just can't decide between these two, guys. It's actually really hard to pick a book that you've read before. Oh. I don't know what to do, guys. I physically do not know what to do, what to pick. I just want to read them both. I mean, I can, but it's what to read first. That's the thing. Do I maybe start with Nina Won't Tell, which is a reread for me that I've known that I loved before. It's quite a quick read because it's actually under 250 pages, so I could fly through this book and then I can go on to Love Life in the List. That might... I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, people. I have a decision, and it was very hard, as you could tell. The book that I'm going to go for is going to be a reread, and that is Nina Won't Tell by Catherine Applegate. I have read this book before. It's very easygoing, less than 250 pages in it. It's a really short book as well, like really short, and I feel like it would be an easy read for me, and it's got me out of a reading slump before, and I really want to read this. I had an urge to read it last year, didn't get around to. Now it's the perfect moment, opportunity. And then I think what I'm going to do, guys, is when I do read that, I will go on to Love Life in the List by Casey West. That is a book that's on my agenda. So that is the end of my chapter challenge. My goodness, that was so hard, but really fun. And I spent yesterday and most part of today reading a chapter from each and every one of these books, and it really got me to see what I'm in the mood for. And it wasn't just contemporaries, I was also in the mood for like dark contemporaries or paranormals, even a fantasy. So now that I've got them and I've got them all ranked, I'll put them in a pile of the ranked, and then I could read from those piles, like in order of one that I want to read. But now that I've read the first chapter, I know what the first chapter was about, and I know how it went, and I know how to go with reading the next book. It was fun to do. It's time consuming, but it's very fun, and it's a good way to see what you're in the mood for, because it just goes to show that although you might read a synopsis and be like, yeah, not sure if I'm in the mood for that, by reading the first chapter of a book, it gives you the opportunity to be glued. Is the writing style going to grab you? Is the storyline going to grab you? Are you going to be intrigued by the characters? Is it a good beginning? Does it grab you? You know, those sort of things. If it does, then you know it's going to potentially be a good book. So, yeah. We shall have to see. And I'm also thinking I might do a 5-star prediction video of 5 of the books that I have read today that I've put under potentially yes, and then I can do a video afterwards of ones that I, you know, if I did end up giving it 5 stars, so like a 5-star prediction video on those potentially yes books. So yeah, stay tuned for that. that's it from me for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you would like me to do more of these, especially with my actual TBRs, maybe I could incorporate it with the April magical readathon that's going on, and like to pick and choose from which category of which book to read first. I could do a little try chapter and like maybe like read it in order of that, and so on and so forth. Maybe I could do a little try chapter TBR decision of like what to put for the book prompts. Like, let me know if that's something that you will be interested in as well. So all my social media links are linked down below if you'd like to follow me elsewhere. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up and support my channel. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button. I post videos pretty much all the time. Don't really have a set schedule because I do shift work, but I aim on like hopefully uploading a video like every day at the moment because I'm behind on videos. So you'll be seeing my face in your inbox, and hopefully you guys do enjoy that fact. But that's it from me, guys. Keep smiling, keep reading, and be happy. My name is Katie, and I will see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video. Bye!